Hi students, welcome to SFS-KMM online classes. This is your Vijay sir teaching social studies 8th class. My dear children, all of you follow our YouTube channel. Channel name is Vijay sir YouTube channel. Just subscribe and like so that you can get notifications of our lessons every day. So kindly follow our lessons so that it is very helpful for you to write the examinations and also get the good marks. Okay, without wasting our time, let's get started. Thank you. My dear children, today's concept is solar energy and sun's rays. What is the source of energy on the earth's surface? From where you are getting this light and heat? That is the sun. Very good. The sun is the principal source of energy on the earth's surface. What is the principal source of energy on the earth's surface? The sun. So here the sun is continuously generates and gives out energy in the form of light and heat. So that is what sun is also called as a powerhouse. What is the duty of powerhouse? It generates and gives out energy. Here you can see, my dear children, this is the solar system. Sun is there, around the sun planets are there. So here sun is generating and releasing its energy in the form of light and heat continuously. Constantly it is releasing throughout the year without any change. So this energy which is constantly emitted by the sun is known as solar radiation. What is the meaning of solar radiation? The energy which is constantly emitted means releasing. The energy which is constantly released by the sun is known as solar radiation. You see, my dear children, here the sun is like a burning ball, right? So it is releasing energy. Energy means in the form of light and heat, which is constantly without any change, which is constantly released by the sun, is known as solar radiation. I hope you understood this, right? The sun, the energy in the form of light and heat, which is constantly released by the sun, is known as solar radiation. My dear children, here what is the meaning of radiation? Okay, when a body gives out energy, is called as radiation. So here you can see the sun is like a burning ball. It is releasing energy outside. That is what it is called as radiation. Around the sun you can observe radiation is forming, right? Because it is constantly releasing its energy. For better understanding, I am taking another example here. My dear children, observe here. If you close the hands near to the fire, so what will happen? You will receive the heat from the fire. This is called radiation. When you touch the heated vessel, okay, you will receive heat from the vessel, right? So this is called radiation. When you talk continuously 10 minutes mobile phone, your mobile phone gets heat, right? The heat, same thing you will receive by the hand. So this type of reasons we can say as radiation. Understood? I hope you understood radiation, right? The energy produced by the sun comes us in the form of sun's rays. How this energy we are getting from the sun? Through sun's rays. Okay, we can see and feel some aspects of this energy, such as like light and heat. So this radiation we can also observe in the fire. Also you can see the example of candle. Okay, burning candle. You see the candle gives light, at the same time heat also will come. If you close your hands near to the candle, what you are going to receive? Heat. At the same time candle is giving light also. So that is the example of light and heat. From the sun rays also we will receive the same energy, that is light and heat. My dear children, in the sun's rays, okay, however, we also receive many other forms of energy like ultraviolet rays, radio waves, X-rays from the sun, which we can neither feel nor see. Understood? Here the sun is receiving, the sun is releasing some other rays, that is which produces heat and light, okay, which is having more energy. That rays are called ultraviolet rays, radio waves, X-rays from the sun, which we cannot see and which we cannot feel the rays, because these rays are not receiving by the surface of the earth. Understood? The energy radiated by the sun is more or less constant with very little variation throughout the year and year after year. That is what, as we already discussed, the solar radiation is happening continuously. The sun is releasing its energy continuously and constantly without any deviation throughout the year. The solar radiation is producing. The sun is releasing its energy constantly, so that energy we are receiving continuously from the sun. Here I am asking one question, my dear. Why the temperatures are changing on the earth's surface? The sun is releasing continuously its heat, its energy, then why the temperatures are happening differently on the earth's surface? Because the earth is in round shape. Understood? The earth is in round shape. Already in 6th and 7th class we studied many things. We learned many things about this round shape of earth. So here the sun rays falls on the equator straight lines, whereas in the polar regions or poles, if you observe, slanting lines will be there. That means long length rays, which is not having that much of heat, which cannot produce high temperatures. So here the round shape of earth, that is the main reason. The earth is in round shape, that is what it is taking, it is receiving sun rays in different conditions. That is what here the temperatures are not forming, same temperatures are not forming on the earth. Next one is the solar radiation received on the surface of the energy is called insolation. My dear children, solar radiation is very important concept. Here insolation is very important. Solar radiation means it is giving or it is releasing the energy. So insolation means it is receiving. The solar radiation received on the surface of the earth is called insolation. What the solar radiation released by the sun is received by the earth is called as insolation. Understood? The radiation released by the sun or the solar radiation received on the surface of the earth is called insolation. Here the great thing is the actual amount of solar energy received on the ground level is only a small portion of what reaches the earth's atmosphere. This is because about 1/3 of the solar energy is reflected back by the earth atmosphere. My dear children, you observe here the sun is releasing 100% energy from the sun. So here 20% scattered and reflected by the clouds. You can observe here 20% of energy is scattered and reflected by the clouds. Next one, 51% only absorbed by the earth, and remaining 6% scattered from the atmosphere, 19% absorbed by the atmosphere and clouds, and 4% reflected by the surface. Only 51% only we are observing from the sun. The earth is observing 51% from the sun, remaining 49%, okay, remaining 49% is scattered by the reflected clouds, 20% scattered and reflected by the clouds, 6% scattered from the atmosphere, 19% absorbed by atmosphere and clouds, 4% reflected by the surface. You got my point, children? So this is very, very important, how the sun rays are deviating, okay, how the sun rays are not receiving on the surface of the earth, means this is the reason. Okay, the distance between sun and earth is more. At the same time, between sun and earth there are many asteroids are there, clouds are there, atmosphere is there. So the rays continuously, of course it is releasing, but continuously it is not going to absorb by the earth, because here many obstacles are there between sun and earth. Further, some portion of the energy is scattered and absorbed by the higher reaches of the atmosphere. In fact, some of the human harmful rays of sun like UV rays do not reach the ground, and this has made life possible on the earth. Here, my dear children, you observe this diagram. Here sun is releasing ultraviolet rays, radio waves and X-rays. But here the ozone layer, okay, above the surface of the earth we have ozone layer is there. The ozone layer is obstructing this. It is not passing this rays to the surface of the earth. You see here ultraviolet rays A, UVB, UVC rays are releasing by the sun. Here the ultraviolet rays A only passing up to surface of the earth. Ultraviolet rays B is not passing up to surface of the earth. It is completely back from the ozone layer, and ultraviolet rays C also back from the ozone layer. So that is what here human life is possible on the earth. We are not receiving this harmful rays like UV rays, radio waves, X-rays from the sun. That is what human life is possible on the earth. Some amount of solar rays are also absorbed or reflected away by the clouds and smoke or dust in the atmosphere. So here, as we already discussed this concept, that is what here sun is releasing 100% sun rays on the earth surface of the earth, but 51% only observing by the earth, and remaining 49% it is scattered and reflected by the clouds, 20% scattered and reflected by the clouds, 6% scattered from the atmosphere, 19% observed by the atmosphere and clouds, and 4% reflected by the surface. So here only 51% we are observing from the sun, and remaining 49% it is scattered from the atmosphere by the reflected clouds and obstacles. Okay, because the difference between sun and earth is more, and between sun and earth is we have space is there, earth layers of atmosphere is there, and also clouds are there, asteroids are there. Because of all these, moreover we have smoke and dust in the atmosphere. It absorbs many rays. So that is what the human life is possible on the earth. For example, if you receive this ultraviolet rays, radio waves, X-rays, then it is very harmful for us. So that is what human life is very difficult to survive here. Okay, by God's grace we are not receiving this kind of rays on the surface of the earth. You would have noticed that on cloudy days, it does not get very hot. Yes, it is correct only, right? In cloudy days, that means in atmosphere sometimes clouds will come. In rainy season also we are not receiving sun rays, right? Because of this only we are not receiving very hot temperatures, right? So in summer season we are receiving more temperatures. In winter and rainy season we are not receiving more temperatures because of these clouds and obstacles and other reasons we are have. So this is a very, very important concept, my dear. Solar radiation and insolation, how the energy is releasing by the sun and how this insolation is happening, all things you have to read out and textbook reading is very very important, my dear. And next concept is sun's rays and earth surface. What is that? Sun's rays and earth surface. Even the rays that reach the ground do not heat the earth surface uniformly. This is because of the curved nature of the earth surface, as we already discussed. Because of the curved nature of the earth surface, we are not receiving the temperatures uniformly. Okay, compare the two pictures given here to understand. So here in your textbook, two pictures given, you can also observe. You can see from the picture that due to curvature of earth surface, the same amount of solar energy falls on small area on the equator and on a long area as we move north or south of it. Thus it will get warmer on the equator than near the poles. Here, my dear, observe children, where the sun rays are falling very shorter distance, that means equator. If you observe incoming solar energy 100%, okay, here 6% reflected by the atmosphere, 20% reflected by the clouds, and 4% reflected by the earth surface. Okay, and here very shorter distance some rays are receiving on the surface of the earth. 51% we are observing from the sun. So where the rays are falling shorter distance, that is in the equatorial zone, is having warm temperature, hot temperatures, whereas in the polar regions we are receiving less temperatures, right? So that is the point given here in your textbook also. Thus it will get warmer on the equator than near the poles. Where the rays are very shorter and falling straightly on the surface, there we receive hot temperatures. Where the sun rays falls long distance and slanty rays, there we receive less temperatures. Okay, you can see that while the sun rays fall at about 90 degrees on the equator, they fall slantingly towards the poles. This is called the angle of incidence. Okay, what is the meaning of angle of incidence? Here the angle at which the rays fall on the earth surface. What the angle, okay, what the angle was made by rays fall on the earth surface. For example, here in your textbook they have given one table. Okay, so in the equator, okay, 45 degree, if you see at 45 degree northern Japan receiving 75 units heat or temperatures they are receiving. At 66.5 polar circle region 50% only, because the rays will fall on the polar regions very slantingly. At the 90 degree, that means in the poles, north pole and south pole, 40% only receive, because they are completely slanting rays. Okay, so you can observe here in the diagram. See here the sun rays, okay, here the distance is very less, shorter distance. Here the distance is long distance. Okay, when the light, the energy reaching on the surface shortly than short distance, it is producing more heat and light. Okay, where the slanting lines, the long distance rays are falling on the earth surface, is producing less temperatures. Okay, so this is the angle of incidence. The earth is forming different angles on the surface of the earth, that is called angle of incidence. Here in the equator region is forming different angle, in the polar regions it is different, in the north pole, south pole, poles regions also having different angles. That is what 45 degree, 66.5 degrees and 90 degrees is having different temperatures. Got my point, children? So here one more important thing is, even though more intense sun rays fall on equatorial region, it is usually cloudy thereafter midday and less sun rays fall on the ground. Of course, here in the equatorial region is receiving more temperature, but in the afternoon onwards it is having, what do you call, it is having a rainfall on the ground. because where the temperatures are more, there water evaporation will be there. The seas and oceans are evaporated and it is absorbed by the clouds, and there afternoon session onwards the sun rays falls on the ground is less because of the cloudy, and there the rainfall will be there. So that is what equatorial regions are not as warm as the regions immediately north or south of them. So that is what here the temperatures are affecting, more temperatures are forming not in the equator, it is very near to north and south regions of this equator, because in the equatorial region afternoon onwards rainfalls are coming, whereas in the above the equatorial region, that is north part or south part, is not receiving rainfall. That is what the continuously temperatures are forming. So here we can say equatorial region is not hot as compared to other regions immediately north or south of them. Understood, my dear? So here, but this is not all. As the earth goes around the sun in the course of year, the angle of incidence constantly change. So here the angle of incidence is constantly changing. That is what the temperatures are also affecting differently. The temperatures are forming differently. It is not forming all, only it is forming very close to the equatorial regions. Thus the angle of incidence increases in the north during the months of November, December, and decreases in the month of May and June. So in the month of May, June, if you observe, the temperatures are more compared to November, December, the temperatures are very less. Okay, this concept we'll discuss in the next chapter. Okay, because that is a different concept, so we can discuss detailed in the next chapter. Okay, my dear children, so today's concept we learned solar radiation, where the energy, the source of energy we are receiving, so the sun we learned, and also insolation, and how the human life is possible on the earth surface we learned. So all things we covered in these two concepts. All of you read all these things from your textbook, and also you have to make the questionnaires and bits. Okay, so carefully you listen and finish your portion. Thank you. We'll see you in the next class. Until then, take care and bye bye.